Well, hey everyone, it's Monday and time for another Monday Mastery. And it just so happens my phone is exploding about the same time we're going live. So we're shutting that puppy down and we'll rock and roll from here. So hopefully y'all, hey Sylvia, thanks for joining in. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas and enjoyed a couple of extra days off, hopefully. And hey, Sheila, thanks for joining in. And we're right at New Year's is right around the corner, and so it's just this time of year is always a hectic time for me. It seems like things just come rapid fire. You know, we were just in Thanksgiving and now we just had Christmas and now it's New Year's. And then we slow down for about 6 weeks and we've got Valentine's Day again. So it's this time of year that I like to sit back or step back and start thinking about the new year. Actually, I've been thinking about the new year for about 3 months. But for most of us, we take this last week between Christmas and New Year's and start thinking about the things that we've accomplished for the past year and the things that we want to accomplish for the coming year. Sylvia says, moving, super busy, but still have this week. Excellent. And your birthday's in January. Awesome. Sylvia's got a birthday coming up next month. We need to make sure we wish her a happy birthday next month. Happy birthday right now, Sylvia, just in case you don't show up on your birthday. So anyway, this is the time of year that's a great time to reflect and to think about, again, everything that's gone on throughout the year, the things that went well, the things that didn't, the things that you enjoyed and the things that you didn't, and the things that you'd like to change in the coming year. And it's, to me, it's always important to think through what you want to accomplish in the coming year. You know, we all like to set New Year's resolutions and try to start the year off on a good note, or on a positive footing, so to speak. But what happens with most of us, including me, we tend to overdo our New Year's resolutions or our goals for the coming year. And what I've discovered through both experience and through reading. Hey, Sherry, glad to have you here. And I know you're driving because I just talked to you. So you drive carefully as you're listening. I shouldn't be watching. Anyway, we tend to set too many goals for the coming year or even the coming quarter. And what I've discovered is that 3 seems to be the magic number. You set 3 goals either for the year or for the quarter. And if you accomplish them, great. If you have time left in the year, then you can add additional goals or an additional goal. But the idea is not to overwhelm yourself with trying to do too many things, trying to get, typically we say we're going to go on a diet and get back in the gym. We want to set financial goals. We want to set relationship goals. We want to set a goal to buy a new car, or to go back to school, or whatever the goals are. Don't set too many, and And hopefully you've got some relationship goals or a relationship goal on your New Year's resolution list. And hopefully that is to become a better you, if that's what needs to happen. It may be that you need to get out more. And somebody had made comment about, earlier on when I shared the announcement for today's. I'm going to make an adjustment here real quick. Somebody had made comment that because of COVID and all of the other things that are going on, it's hard to date, and it is. And but part of that is up here, and at least for me. And when I say it's up here is, we can be afraid, we can live in fear, we can be afraid of our shadow if we choose to. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be afraid of COVID. I'm not saying that you should go out and defy all the mask orders. What I'm saying is be smart about it. If you're dating, if you're meeting somebody online, or if you are someplace where you can get together in a social group, don't be afraid of doing it. Life still goes on. And if you're naturally at risk, then be cautious. Then maybe that's not the right step for you. Hey, Barbara, thanks for joining in. But again, it's all about using your head and doing what's right for you. If you're afraid to go out, if you're afraid to get out socially, there are still ways of getting to know people. And we've talked about this several times over the last few months, that you can still do online dating. You can still meet people socially on Facebook, or other social media, Instagram, and whatever else you're on. You can still have text conversations, and that can move to phone conversations, and that can move to FaceTime or Zoom or Skype, or however. And I'm not sure what the Android version of FaceTime is, but that's those are all things that you can do. If you don't know how to do those, set that as one of your goals for the coming year, is learn how to use some of the technology. Zoom and Skype are very easy to use. FaceTime, and I don't know what I don't know what the Android name is, or the Android version is, but it's usually a matter of just pushing a button on your phone, and it converts the call to a video call. It's still a great way to meet people. So if technology is one of your issues, step out of your comfort zone and learn the technology. If you've got grandkids around, or even if they're not close, call them. They'll tell you how to use it. They'll teach you how to do it. They've grown up in a different generation, or a different world than we did. I remember when I bought my first computer, it was a portable computer that weighed 40 pounds. Yeah. So I'm dating myself, and I was in my early 20s at that point. It was a boat anchor in essence, and it was slow. And even then, that had more computing power than what they sent men to the moon with. Hey, Shar, thanks for joining in. And so it's there are so many possibilities. And again, what do you want to accomplish in the coming year? Not only for your dating life, but for your entire life. I'd like to see you all have one dating or relationship goal. Maybe it'll be to meet one new person a month. Maybe it will be to go on one new date a month. uh, or one new date a week. Whatever your goal is, or whatever it is you want to accomplish. Maybe it'll be learning some technology to be able to communicate more easily in this time of lockdowns and whatnot. And there was a gal that had made comment earlier on the post that, like I mentioned, that she she wanted to know how to date in this time. One of the things you can both do is get a COVID test. If you both are negative, then what's the harm in meeting? Again, take your precautions, but if you've tested negative, then you're in the clear. And I don't know how often you want to get tested, or how often you need to get tested, but if you want to be an active dater, there are still ways of doing it. There are still ways of going out and being social. And so you have to think through these things. How do I make this happen? You ask yourself better questions, and you'll find better answers. Now, what are some of your goals, or have you thought about your New Year's resolutions, and do they include anything with dating and relationships? Are you bound and determined to find your soulmate this coming year? Are you bound and determined to get out of the house more this year? What are your goals for the year? And we'll kind of keep an eye on what's going on here. So and again, it boils down to your comfort level. Where are you comfortable? As far as dating right now. Sylvia says her number one goal is health. Awesome. Getting or keeping yourself healthy is that should be a lifelong goal, because the healthier you are now, the easier it is to maintain your health later on. Shar says, I'm determined to try harder and to learn to roll with where it goes and not take it seriously. Awesome. So in other words, lighten up, Shar. So, and that can be a huge issue. I know one of mine is communication. And even though I talk to you all and share things, I still find that I stumble, even though I teach it, I stumble through communicating effectively with the woman I'm dating. And so it's, I make mistakes, and this is how I come to, I've come to learn what I know about dating is through study, through a lot of personal experience, a lot of personal mistakes. So, it's when you recognize that you have a flaw, and I'll say that my flaw is sometimes effective communication. And sometimes, a lot of times, I'll come in like a bull in a china shop and saying, "Got to do this, 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 and this," or we need to do this, or stay focused, or whatever it is. Using a little more tact is something that I can learn, and something I'm determined to learn and become better at in the coming year. So what about the rest of you? What all have you got going on, or what are you thinking that you want to work on in the coming year? Again, do you want to date more? Do you want to Do you want to find your soulmate this year? I mean, you can do it. You can. You can if you put in a significant effort. And Deborah says, I can be similar. Yeah, are you saying similar to me in being uh, in being brusque or being a bull in a china shop? And Tim says, "Hey Tim, thanks for joining in." Says he laughs and says that's kind of the way we are. Um, and Yeah, that's we kind of take charge sometimes, Tim. uh I would like to date more in a focused manner. Deborah, that's awesome. And one of the ways, and Tim will probably chime in here in a second, but one of the ways, if you don't have my book, Dating Backward, that would be a great book to help you stay focused, because it'll help you develop your must-have list. And when you have your must-have list and your deal breaker list, you can go out on a date and you can tell relatively quickly whether this is somebody you want to pursue further or not. I contend that in 30 days or less, you know whether somebody's worth dating longer. Just simply through knowing what you want and what you don't want. Awesome. Thank you. Deborah says I'll order that. And you just go to my website, ricksoderbeer.com, or there's even a link on my post today on Facebook that will take you to that page, just to make it easy for you. Or you can get it on Amazon in the book section. It's available on Kindle or in paperback. And let me grab this. This is what it looks like. And I'm not trying to hawk my book. I'm just your comment made just triggered that thought. So thank you, Deborah. But those are things, if you want to become more deliberate, there are great tools out there, not just my book, but understanding the 5 love languages. And I still like, and there's a newer version. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. But Gary, I forget what his name is. I think it's Gary. Is it Gary? I forget the author's name. Anyway, he's updated it, and that book is 25 years old, and it presents some great information. But he's updated it to adjust for some things that we do these days that we didn't do 25 or 30 years ago. Shar says that is so true about lists. Helps you stay focused on what's important to you in your relationship. And that's exactly right. That's the whole point. What I found is throughout the years that our biggest drawback is we get sucked into relationships that are not ideal for us, and we get into relationships. We like a few characteristics of the person we're dating, but there's a bucket of stuff that we don't like over here, and we've been taught that we're too picky, that we can't have everything we want in a relationship. And I'm here to tell you, you can have everything you want, everything you're looking for. And the relationships are not just about what's on your must-have list. Again, you have to develop an intellectual, a spiritual, an emotional, and physical connection. You have to, I believe you should speak similar love languages. It's not absolutely necessary, but gosh, it just makes life so much easier because you naturally communicate in the same way. Oh, Sheila, thank you very much. Sheila says the author is John Gray. I knew it was, I was thinking it was Gary Chapman, but that's the 5 love languages. Thank you. Terry says, hi, Rick, I have your book, but haven't read it yet. I'll start soon. Well, how about setting a goal of Well, as Tony Robbins said, when is now a good time? So anyway, Terry, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you start reading it. Um, uh, oh, look at that. Deborah says book purchased e-version. That was easy. See, it's not difficult at all. There you go. Thank you, Deborah. I really appreciate that. And Sheila says, my plan is to fall more and more in love with myself. Awesome. That's, and that, to love yourself, to be happy with yourself, to be happy with your own company, is a huge step, and it's a huge step for most people. I spent 8 years looking for someone to be in my life, and a couple of years ago, I just got to the point that said, yeah, okay, if I'm in a relationship, great. If not, I'm okay, because I became happy with who I am, what I'm doing, and I enjoyed my company. The things that I didn't like, I changed, and the things that I love, I continue to do. And part of it, I think, comes with a maturity. I know part of it came from the loss of my dad about 4 years ago, and that became kind of a sobering moment, because my dad was my last surviving parent, and that means that now I'm the oldest generation in my side of the family. And Terry says, so true. Loving yourself first. Absolutely agreeing with Sheila there. So, it's when you get to that, you have certain milestones in your life that cause a mind shift. And losing my dad was one of those, milestones. I mean, it wasn't one that I looked forward to. It wasn't one that I enjoy. I miss him every day, but you find out more about who you are and what's really important in life. And when you start recognizing that you are okay, and that you do enjoy your own company, it makes life a lot easier. You take the pressure off of you to find someone to fill that space, to fill that void. Do I still want somebody in my life? Absolutely. But is that an absolute necessity for me? No. And I'm hoping it's the same for her, that she'll be comfortable with who she is, and when we connect, it's there we are. We're both in you're both in a relationship because you want to be. You don't need to be. And that's a huge breakthrough. And I'd love all of you to be in that in that position, or in that mindset. So what other goals do you guys have? Hey, Addie, thanks for joining in. Being late, you can never be late here. Because even if we're not live, you can watch it on the replay. So you're always on time, Addie. So anyway, the whole purpose of today is to get you to think a little bit about what the future holds for you, or what you'd like the future to hold for you. What do you want to happen in the coming year? What do you want to happen in the coming 5 years? And again, don't make this long laundry list of things that you want to try to accomplish this year, because what studies have shown that 95 or 97% of New Year's resolutions have fallen by the wayside by mid-February. They say never join a gym in January because it's crowded. You don't join until mid-February, and then it's back to normal. Everybody's got that beginning of the year, drive to get in shape, get ready for the spring, get ready for the summer, just work their way through, get physically fit through the winter, or stay physically fit through the winter. And they start in January. And again, it's in addition to probably having too many other goals, it's not an overnight success, or it's not an overnight fix. It's something that if you're getting back to the gym, it takes repetition. It takes getting out and doing it, even when you don't want to do it. I remember when I was much more physically fit than I am right now, I was working out twice a day. And it was 30 to 45 minutes in the morning, and then probably 45 minutes to as much as 3 hours in the evening. It just depended on what day I was working out, or what days I was walking. So you can set very high goals for yourself, but if you set too many, you're going to burn yourself out and lose your motivation. Addie says, my resolution is to visit my dad and family more often, make more of an effort. Awesome. There's, and I so can appreciate that, Addie, because our parents are not going to be here forever. Like I said, I lost mine about 4 years ago, and, I wish I could still go and see him, before he passed, I would only get to see him maybe once a year. There were a lot of things going on. He'd be someplace, I'd be someplace, and our schedules just wouldn't necessarily work out. We try to get together on Christmas, or some holiday here and there, and maybe in the summer, and jump on the boat and go for a ride. But you look back and say, yeah, I could have made more time. I could have done this, I could have done that. And there's nothing worse than to live in a world of regret. So you make sure you do things intentionally, live intentionally, date intentionally. And when you do that, then life becomes, I don't know, more fun. It's when it's done by intention, and we're going to stumble through some things in life, and that's the way it happens. We make mistakes, we screw up, and but the idea is to learn from it and grow, change the things that we don't like, and keep doing the things we like. I mean, assuming you're not hurting anyone or offending the world, although the world is offended by everything now. So it's like, that's almost okay, whatever. And maybe that one thing right there is something that maybe you want to learn to become less offended. Where were we 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago? We weren't offended by everything. Maybe you make a resolution to say, yeah, okay, that's their opinion. I don't have to voice mine. I can let it go. And then other times you might say, yeah, I've earned a right to share my opinion, whether you like it or not. It's my opinion. And if we all just accepted that others have opinions, and ours isn't the only one, then Shar says there are so many opportunities in life to create things to look forward to, and then go do it. Half the fun of going on a trip is in the planning. Absolutely. And my dad used to say, Oh, what is, I just lost it. Oh gosh, and it was along that line. It's anticipation is often greater than realization. Just the fact that just planning, the planning part of the trip or the event or whatever it is often as good or better than the trip or the vacation, or because we have these grand ideas in our head, and the brochures, and when we get there, the brochures are making things look a little better than they are, and it's like, okay, whatever. But the whole idea, yeah, but you're exactly right. Planning for events, planning for certain things, um, is often the best part. Then going and doing is fun, but it's just the fun you have in planning, and if you're planning something with friends or that special someone, um, that's awesome. You have something to look forward to. And I think that's, in life, we all need something to look forward to. I think one of the most important factors of life is hope that there's something down the road, hope that there's, that our special someone is down the road, is out there looking for us, and we get frustrated with dating and relationships, but it's, in searching for that right relationship. But there's a process to all of this, and it takes time, because you should be looking for that needle in a haystack relationship. You can't just you know and what I find is, I guess for me, frustrating is folks that want to just date 3 or 4 or 5 people and then be done with it. It just is not that easy. I mean, unless you're one of the 1/10 of 1% that stumbles into that amazing relationship. It just takes time. It takes work. It takes effort. And it goes back to setting goals. How much work, how much effort do you want to put in this year, this coming year, to finding your soulmate or to getting out and dating? What are you willing to do? Are you willing to go out and get your COVID test? So that when you do find one, when you do find someone that you want to meet, that hopefully you've tested negative, and you can go meet face to face. Hey, Teresa, thanks for joining in. Glad you're here. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope everything's okay. So there are plenty of little goals, little resolutions that you can plan for, or work towards this year. And just because you set a goal, and if you don't achieve it this year, doesn't mean that goal can't continue. Doesn't mean you failed. It just means you haven't accomplished it yet. It's if your goal is to find your soulmate this year, and it just doesn't happen this year, look back and see what kind of effort you put in. The more effort you put in, the sooner you're going to find your results. And if you put in a little effort, it's going to take you longer. Terry says, I have antibodies, so I'm not worried about meeting others right now. There you go. See, and we're all in a different spot. And so if you have the antibodies, I'm assuming that means you've had COVID already. And so there you go. You've got a clean bill of health, so to speak. So, and dating in this environment, a lot of it is a mindset. Are you going to be fearful? Are you going to live in fear? Now, and don't misunderstand me. I'm not challenging any of you to go out and do goofy things. All I'm saying is that I know too many people that live hunkered down right now, when it's not absolutely necessary. Terry says, yes, I had it in July. Yep. Well, Aren't you lucky? And I'm saying that sarcastically or facetiously. It's never fun to be sick, but I'm glad you're healthy and with us today, and hopefully enjoying today's conversation. So it's Teresa's just in and out. She's gone. She's got to run. Thanks. Talk to you later. Well, have a good evening, Teresa. Thanks for stopping in. So there, again, I don't want to challenge anybody to do anything crazy. All I'm suggesting is that evaluate what where you're at. If you have a lot of I forget what they call it, all the mitigating factors of that enhance your risk of COVID, of the symptoms of COVID, then be smart, wear your mask, or don't go out, or do the FaceTime or the video conferencing, or whatever it is. That way you can still connect, you can still be social. There's several meetup groups here in the Kansas City area that do a virtual meetup every week. They're trying to help people stay connected. And so those are still some great ways. Find groups that meet online. And maybe that's one of your goals. Find a group or two in the first month of the year to join, where you can do virtual meetings or virtual get-togethers. There are several of those. And again, a lot of it depends on where you're located, what your rules and regulations are. As far as lockdowns, some places are more locked down than others. So, it all depends on where you're at and what works for you. Addie says, I heard the saying, love will find you when you're not looking for it or least expecting it. What are your thoughts on that? I feel if you don't put yourself out there, you won't find it. I'm also going to date with a real objective and purpose on finding Mr. Right this year. Awesome, Addie. I love that. And yes, I believe that love can find you when you're not looking. And that's kind of what I was referring to a little bit ago. Getting comfortable with yourself, being happy with your own company, because what I found is that takes a lot of pressure off of the looking process. You can still be actively dating and doing everything you need to be there, but you're not dating with a sense of urgency or a sense of need. And it's a much more powerful position to be dating from when you don't need to be in a relationship. And I think there's just something about being in that mindset that opens you up to a lot more possibilities. And I think that's when in my opinion, it God starts leading people to you. Some people are going to say, well, it's the vibes that you put out, and the universe sends these things back to you. And whatever you believe, I think that's when God sees that you're ready, and he'll bring your partner to you. And you might it might be somebody you already know. And that's studies. And I haven't looked up statistics here in the last couple of years, but a couple of years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, the statistic was that 40% of relationships started as friends. Or it's actually not relationships, it's marriages. They started as friends. So that's the biggest, and that's the biggest pool of people to find relationships. People that you already know. it's so amazing. While you may not have ever thought of somebody in a romantic sense, it's amazing that all of a sudden one day it just seems like boom, the switch flips, and oh, why haven't we been here before? Why haven't we been doing this? And part of the reason is that neither of you may have been in the right emotional place. You had some healing or some growing or some learning to do. And then all of a sudden things can come together, and this gets pretty magical. But Addie, I want to one caution. Don't be disappointed if you don't find Mr. Right this coming year. And that's what I tried to say earlier, is that even if you don't accomplish that goal, keep going. And Terry just popped in here and she says, yeah, we need to stay open to receiving a love connection. Absolutely correct. And so Addie, it can happen anytime. It could happen next week. It could happen next month. It could happen next year. But and part of it, again, is being comfortable with where you're at. With being comfortable with your own company, being comfortable with being single. And if for the last couple of years I've walked around with the attitude, well, if God wants somebody, in my life, he'll bring them to me. And that's where my attitude lies. And so but in the meantime, if God doesn't want anybody in my life, he'll see that happens too. And this is where we all have to have patience. We can't want these things. And this circles back around to being comfortable with your own company. It circles back around to that you're not needy. You're not you don't have to be in a relationship just to be in a relationship. So when you're there, that's an awesome place to be. And that's, again, that opens up a lot of possibilities, and it will actually and I don't know whether it's pheromones or hormones. Because there's a lot of this involved in finding love. But when you're comfortable with yourself, and it just opens you up. You give off an aura or an air of, yeah, I'm the prize. You guys need to fight over me. And I'm going to be selective, and that, and that's another part of extraordinary, is being selective, that you don't just settle for okay, or for good, or even for great. If it's not extraordinary, then it's and letting go of great is difficult. But if it's not extraordinary, there's no point in great, because you're settling. There's a part of that relationship that's not quite right for you. Okay, no, we're all caught up. So I mean, what other resolutions have you got, or what other goals have you got for the coming year? Like I said, communication, becoming a better communicator is one of mine. One of my goals is to finish up creating my online course. It'll be based on my book, but it'll go into a lot of training, and a lot of scenarios that we couldn't put in the book. And it's just, I guess it would be a step between the book and personal coaching. So that's another one of my goals, is to be able to reach out and touch a lot more people in the coming year. So there are just so many opportunities, but the idea is to not overwhelm yourself with too many um, too many resolutions, too many goals in the coming year. Again, 95 to 97% of New Year's resolutions fall by the wayside by mid-February, just because we've burdened ourselves. We've got too many things going on in our head, and and trying to pull ourselves in too many directions. We just can't physically make that many changes. The Our brain just doesn't let us do that. So you choose two or three top goals. If you accomplish those, then start adding another goal and another goal. But until you accomplish the first two or three, just leave all the others on the side. Shar says, I'm reconsidering long distance relationships. Been hesitant there, but who knows? Shar, I'm a big fan of long distance relationships for a couple of reasons. It allows you to get to know somebody, because you end up talking on the phone or doing uh, FaceTime or video, Skype. Uh, and again, depending on how long, Char says, I will say it would have to be someone I was really drawn to even try. Absolutely, yeah. You don't want to do it just for the sake of trying to do a long distance relationship. I mean, that's like dating somebody you're not attracted to locally. It's no different. So yeah, you do have to be very strongly attracted to somebody, and you have to develop an intellectual, a spiritual, an emotional, and a physical connection. And then again, the distance, how far you are apart, plays a huge role. I mean, is it someplace that you can drive to on the weekends, and if things progress, that you can spend a weekend together, spend time together. And when I say spend a weekend together, doesn't necessarily mean um, you know, spending time in a motel room, but if you're going to meet in between, you each get your own separate rooms. Um, so you but you do have to be able to spend time together. And it could be, and reality is, sometimes even local relationships become difficult if if one person works out of town or travels a lot, and so you're still limited to how often you can see each other. But I there's something about long distance relationships that it uh, you grow together, you get to know each other on a more intimate is, I'm using a different term of intimate. You get to know each other more deeply and connect more deeply. But then you still have to be able to have that chemistry, when that bond, that there's an attraction there when you meet. If that's there, then you also have to be willing to think about, well, what about moving? Am I willing to relocate? Is he willing to relocate, or is she willing to relocate? What are the possibilities there? In the early stages of long distance dating, it's more often than not, one party is going to say, and it'll probably be the guy say, yeah, well, I'm free to come and go as I please, but you have to let the relationship develop a little bit, because then when push comes to shove, are you really willing to move, or are you very set in your habitat? Are you set in your house? And then when you do decide, do you keep one And Shar, I'll use you as an example. Do you keep your house in Aiken and keep his house wherever he is, or do you sell one of them and move in together? How do or just 2 weeks you live one place, 2 weeks you live the other place. A lot has to do with employment. Are one of you still employed? Are both of you still employed? And what are the possibilities of finding work in the new community? So there's while there are a lot of good things, there are a lot of difficult questions that need to be answered. So if you're retired, then it's probably not quite as big a deal. But if you're still working, it can be an issue. So those are some huge things to think about. So with that, I think that we'll probably, I think that was the last comment there. So with that, I think we'll wrap it up for today and for this year. And I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you have a wonderful new year and a safe new year. I think a lot of us will be quiet, depending on where you live. There's not a lot going on in outside events, but again, that all depends on where you live. There can be some fun parties going on. And again, don't live in fear. Be cautious, but don't live in fear. And have a great and blessed week. It's I don't know where you're at. Hopefully, maybe you'll get some snow. And I know we're expecting snow here in Kansas City, I think tomorrow night or Wednesday, one of the two. I don't know. The forecast keeps changing. But anyways, guys, I love you. Thanks for all your comments and suggestions. And you make this hour just fly by. Happy New Year, Shar. I wish you all the best also. Terry, Happy New Year. Addie, have a great week. Have a Happy New Year. Sylvia says, everyone have a great New Year. Terry, more fun in 2021. Hey, there you go. I like that. I may steal that from you. Terry says, I don't want snow. I get it. I'm a bit of a snow skier, so I'm actually going to seek snow next week for a couple of days. So anyway, Happy New Year all. I love you, and I will see you next Monday for Monday Mastery live at 5. Happy New Year, Nancy. Thanks for checking in.